We are on the road to WrestleMania here on the Give a Shot Network. I am Jeff Martin alongside my tag team partner, the trendsetter Brian Berger. We are HSP, the High Spot podcast on Give a Shot Network. Make sure you like and subscribe right here. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of the action here on HSP. You can also watch us and also listen to us on all podcast platforms. We are on the road to WrestleMania, like I said, trendsetter. And we had Rohizi of Remix Rumble on this week, and now another musical guest is going to join us. And I got to admit, trendsetter, I saw his IG, and I think it came up on it was a TikTok based, and I saw it on Instagram, and I was like, oh crap, man, I got to get this guy on here because he's going to blow up here. And he's kind enough to join us, David Bartolome, and I got that right though because a lot of people butcher that. But I am going to be the first one that gets it right, man. So give me a check plus there for that. David Bartolome joins HSP. What's going on, dude? How you doing? We'll talk about what you've done here, but I just got to say, how you doing first and foremost?
Oh, I'm good, man. I'm good. I appreciate you guys having me on here. It's cool. It's the first podcast I've done that's just me. I've done other stuff with my brother and bands and stuff like that, but this is pretty cool.
This is awesome, man. And I'll tell you what, one thing that I noticed is like when people start doing something or they contribute something to the wrestling business, wrestling fans are awesome. And that's what I've known for the longest time we've been doing this. Like if you do something to contribute to wrestling, pro wrestling, there's nothing like the wrestling fans because they're super loyal and they're going to get your product out there. So what you've done is you've done a lot of covers for a lot of wrestling songs. And the one that came up to me was the Rhea Ripley one, the one that she came out to WrestleMania. And it came, and I got to tell you, dude, I was blown away. All right, I'm not just saying that because you're the first. This is your first podcast you're doing here, a wrestling podcast, and you've come on HSP podcast, right? I'm saying that because you're just totally blown away by your creativity and the way you redid it. Are you a wrestling fan, or where did your origin come from?
Massive wrestling fan. Growing up, it was really hard to watch because I'm from England, so unless you had like Sky and stuff like that, you couldn't really watch it. But I had all the games. SmackDown versus Raw, all through them. Used to love the soundtracks. All the music I now listen to comes from wrestling. Bands like Skillet, Papa Roach, all that stuff. I've watched it for years, absolutely years. So yeah, big fan.
And so were you also like a fan of like Jim Johnstone, who did the wrestling themes for in the beginning?
Yeah. Definitely my favorite were the old school ones. There's definitely a few now where, like an example, watch the Royal Rumble. And sometimes they'll be like, you look around the room and everyone's kind of confused as who's coming in. Whereas I feel like back in the day, you knew instantly who was coming in. Like everyone had a theme that was just catchy in there and you just knew.
So let's talk about that actually, David, because we're going to get to a lot of stuff here. But I'm glad you talked about this because a lot of wrestling fans on social media are having a tough time when the wrestlers come out are either saying, who is this? You even saw Seth Rollins once the Royal Rumble, I think last year, when he's there, he's watching it, and all of a sudden, like, this music plays, and he's like, who is that? And you didn't even know. So it's weird that WWE would get rid of somebody like Jim Johnstone and go with like a Def. And I'm not knocking Def Rel. I'm not here to do that. It's just that, for example, like that kind of music today is just like for Zelina Vega comes out a couple of weeks ago to a new theme song. No pop, no, and that's so important because it fits your personality. Like, what do you think about that? Do you think that's something that's missing now?
Royal Rumble's my favorite pay-per-view or PLE now. And it was always like you'd be waiting for the countdown to hit 0, and then the music hits, and it is now kind of like a bit confusing. Obviously, you've got the main ones like Jay's music, everyone knows, Seth's music, but there are definitely some that kind of sound the same, and it's a bit confusing. So I do miss the old stuff, but then everyone bashes Def Rebel. They've also released some absolute bangers as well. So people, you're never going to please everyone. Unfortunately, it was like a really hard act to follow, so they were never going to, it's just one of those things, unfortunately. And music, it's so varied what people's tastes are. So, and I've noticed that on TikTok, like you can always guarantee there'll be someone who hates it, there'll be someone who loves it. You just have to expect that with music nowadays.
What were some of the go-to songs that you liked, especially when we talk about the Royal Rumble? When you hear that countdown and that buzzer go, what were some of the ones that got you?
I've always loved Seth's music. Seth's is great. I love Jay's entrance. Rhea's, obviously, like I'm a massive Motionless in White fan. I used to love her old one with New Year's Day as well, but when she changed to Motionless, I was all about that. That's probably my favorite now. I used to love Finn's old one. Things like that, the ones that are catchy and they stick in your head, they're the best for me.
I think a lot of people too now on social media, they are always saying, like, for example, WrestleMania's got the theme songs. I've always been about the theme songs. I love because it matches sometimes the card and it matches the personality of the event. The weekend has been synonymous now with WrestleMania, and now we're getting now in the hip hop culture now as Travis Scott is doing this. But a lot of old school people, a lot of people like that rock stuff. They like the Limp Bizkit. They love the skill. So like a lot of people though would be like, oh, why don't they just go back to rock? It's not that time anymore. It had its place. But there's so many jams on my playlist that I go to the gym that are rock related to WWE. That's how I got into rock music. Brian was a huge rock fan, and then he started playing Limp Bizkit for me. That's how I found Limp Bizkit, through wrestling. To you, do you think there's still a place to put in these rock songs to be like in wrestling now, or has it just gone now too much to like pop?
I think there is. Like when you've got people like Rhea, and like even when Alba Fire was around, I would have liked to see her have a song with like a big band. Would have been cool. I know she's now doing her stuff with Chelsea Green, but when she was doing the Witch stuff, would have been really cool to have a known band do it. I think it definitely helps if you have a band that's already big. Like having the lyrics and a cool, catchy chorus really helps the wrestler out, I think. Because as soon as Rhea's music hits, you know exactly like what to expect and stuff. I think there's definitely missing the alternative wrestlers like they used to be. Like I said, Finn going to Judgment Day, I was hoping it would all go kind of darker. White Six have kind of disappeared. Obviously, I used to love Bray's stuff. Anything horror-y, anything metal was always my thing. I don't feel like there's a lot of it at the moment. But like you said, everything changes. They'll probably go to a point where it all comes back again. I would love to see some more heavy stuff get incorporated into PLE themes. I know they did Poppy's one, but yeah, bring Motionless back for something would be cool.
Well, you kind of alluded to it at the beginning in terms of, getting involved in watching wrestling and really getting involved in the music that we were playing at the time, which was a lot of rock for a lot of those, there were pay-per-views back then, now they're PLEs. But, any particular bands that really just caught your eye that got you into music in general, or was it that prior to watching wrestling?
I used to be like a big Eminem, Akon fan. And then honestly, it was watching wrestling. I heard To Be Loved by Papa Roach. That song like clicked with me, and I think it's actually one of the first albums I bought physically was the Papa Roach one. And then the SmackDown vs. Raw games, you had all the theme tunes on there, all the soundtrack and everything was great. You had people like Trivium, Sick Puppies were on there and stuff like that. There's some really cool bands that mixed with the wrestling. I don't know. It was something about how aggressive it was and everything just kind of clicked with me, which sounds weird. It's not the greatest thing to say, but I think that kind of stuff clicks with a lot of people. And for ages, it was just metal, rock went with wrestling. And it was kind of like all the outcasts would kind of like get together and stuff. I know it's way more commercial now and stuff, but I do miss the times when it was like you had your group, if you know what I mean.
You'd find different kinds of bands too. Sometimes you didn't hear it. It'd be like kind of like just getting on the radar, and you'd find them through the music towards these pay-per-view themes, PLE themes now. So now it's different though. Now it's become more pop, more, out there as WWE has grown. And, obviously it's targeting more of a bigger audience than that niche audience. It was all rock and everything like that. So listen, how we found you is, so we went on this, it popped up on my threads, whatever. And I saw it, and you can follow him on Instagram at David Bartolome Music. And obviously the TikToks came up and the Rhea Ripley one came out, but you did Seth Rollins. You've also done Jey Uso, and then you've done. When did you start doing that for wrestling? Because I say it's been recent, right? That you've started.
Yeah. The first one I did was Kingdom.
Yeah,
and that's just because I like Downstate. I've listened to them for a while. They do quite a few of the themes and stuff. I wasn't actually going to release it because how it came out, I wasn't happy. But I'd started working with my brother's manager to try and promote my first like debut original single. And he was saying, put out content every day on TikTok. So I was doing that. And then I was like, I could put some covers alongside it just to keep the algorithm going. And Kingdom released that, was going to delete it. And then went up to like 20,000, then 50,000, then 100,000. Like, oh, okay. And that's literally the only reason I carried on doing it. I wasn't planning on doing WWE. I've always loved the music, but I wasn't going to go down that route. I was just trying like anything, seeing what connected with people. And then I just went from there, really. The Seth one was one of the more recent ones I did, which I completely fucked up the promo for that because I left the swearing in the caption. Like, there's certain things you have to do on TikTok that if you don't, it just kind of kills it off, which is a shame because I liked how it came out. But yeah, the Rhea one, the Cody Rhodes one, and the Jey Uso one are the top 3 at the moment. Jey Uso one definitely was like a mixed review. But yeah, it all started just by accident, honestly. I wasn't going to post it, so I'm glad I did.
And sometimes the best things in the world are accidents, right, Joe?
It is. And what kind of feedback have you gotten from the wrestling fans? I know you got a lot of follows from wrestling fans.
Yeah.
From it. So has social media like picked up a little bit on any kind of platform?
Well, on TikTok, yeah, TikTok definitely. I was on like 1,000, I think, and now I'm on 14 or something, and it's been like a month. I think the last 3 weeks it's been like 2 million views or something in total, which is crazy for me because I used to be stuck in that like 200 jail where like you wouldn't, you know. So seeing it is just mind blowing all the time, and I make a point of trying to reply to every comment I get because people are taking the time to comment and check it out. So the least I can do is kind of reply. Sometimes it gets a bit hard to keep track of all the comments coming in, but mostly it's positive. Like there are some where you know what kind of reaction you're going to get. If you touch anything that isn't already heavy or rock, you're going to piss people off. Jey Uso is a good one. The John Cena one, knew that was going to be hated, but it was requested by so many people. And I think people were taking it as I was trying to say this would be better for him when it was literally just people have asked for my version of it. This is how I do it. Because you get a lot of angry people going, no, he wouldn't do this. It doesn't suit him. It's like, no, I know. It's all good. But the ones like the Rhea one, I did like a straight cover first. That was like a good 90% well received. And then I've always been into like cinematic stuff. So I thought I'd give it a go. I got a load of new like plug-in instruments and stuff, like new string sounds and a keyboard. So I was like, oh, I'm going to give it a go. I'm planning on doing Randy Orton's one, cinematic as well, at some point. But, you know, the fact she saw it, the fact the Motionless in White singer commented on it, I had Paige today like the video of her one, Johnny Gargano, like stuff like that is crazy. Like I'm just sat there, just, you know, I sit literally next to my wife while she's trying to work, just recording this stuff, just for fun.
Yeah.
And then having all this reaction is really cool. And even if it's negative, like I appreciate people taking the time because they could just scroll past and be like, you know, at least it's making them feel something, you know.
Get a reaction, man, and that's all you got to do, dude. Get a reaction. Look, your TikTok is growing now, so you just got to get one platform where you have that following, man, and then it's, you know, it's just onward and upward.
Yeah.
You know, I find so interesting too, though, is the fact that, you know, you just mentioned too that it wasn't your intention to do that, and I always recollect when I'm listening to music and you hear like originals that are, you know, close to the heart for people in terms of the bands that sang them, and then sometimes you hear the cover versions, and the cover versions, you always have people with their opinions. The original was better, or they butchered it, kind of what you're alluding to, right? So my question to you is that for you, if I was in your scenario, I would probably feel a tremendous amount of pressure because although you were intentionally doing it to do songs like Rhea Ripley, Seth Rollins, you know, John Cena, like you're like, wow, like even though it's your version and your vision of what it is, you want to do it justice as well at the same time. Did you feel the pressure in terms of,
especially now because they're watching?
I think the only reason I don't put pressure on myself is because I am like my worst critic. I will like pick apart everything I do. I will never be happy with something I do. There'll always be something in my mind once I released it, I could have done this differently or something like that. And the fact Kingdom I was going to delete because in my head I was like, this is shit, just get rid of it. It's like, it's still worth putting out. And with TikTok, you have to do something every day. Some are going to hit, some aren't, but at least you're still keeping the algorithm going. You're still putting stuff out. I recorded a version of Dakota Kai's today, which I'm not massively fond of how it came out. So I'll probably go and make some changes, but it's like, there's only so much you can do before you just have to put it out. And honestly, like I go into every song I do expecting there to be negative stuff anyway. It sounds depressing as shit, but like if I go in expecting there to be kind of a negative reaction, anything that's positive is a bonus for me. If I go in thinking everyone's going to love it, I'm going to end up being like, oh shit, you know.
And even if they hate it, don't like it, you've already thought the worst of it yourself, so it's not going to really affect you, right?
Yeah, and I completely respect everyone's opinion. Like if everyone liked the same music, the music industry would be so boring. It'd be the same band, everything would sound the same. You have to have varied, and it's same with wrestlers. You look at some people cheer Charlotte Flair, other people hate her, things like that. No one's going to please everyone.
What is your inspiration? Because obviously you're so creative. You play all the instruments, your vocals, and then you also play guitar. So you do a bunch of things. Like what inspired you to get into music? Is it a passion always? And then when you write your music, what do you like doing, covers or being your original music? What inspires you, and what do you draw from for your work? What brings out the creativity?
So for like what got me into it was my mum plays piano, my dad plays guitar. So when I was 13, I wanted to start playing. My brother also does music. He was actually touring with Asking Alexandria as the guitarist the last couple of years. So he's doing big things in the music industry. He's quite friendly with a lot of people. But we did like our first festival when I was like 13, he was 11. So we just got into it, and then eventually we couldn't find a drummer for our band. So I learned how to do drums just because it was easier. And then I wanted to learn keyboard and stuff. So I just gradually built it all up that way. But it all started from my parents, and also the fact they let me have a drum kit in the house, which a lot of parents wouldn't. So I thank them for that, because it's not the quietest of instruments.
That's a very, very nice, very nice mom and dad there.
Yeah. They're massively supportive. We did a tour with, I don't know if you remember the band The Calling.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So me and my brother supported them, and my mum and dad. My dad was the driver for the tour for our van, and then they were the merch guys as well. There were people going and getting pictures with them and getting their autographs, and so they've been supportive in there from like day one. They support everything we do, which is super cool. But when it comes to original music, a lot of my stuff is personal experiences. A lot of my lyrics are quite depressing. A lot of it is to do with like mental health and stuff like that. I have a song out called Hollow, which is to do with like internal battles when you look at yourself and stuff like that. I put out 2 videos, one yesterday, one today. They're both originals. They're also from like previous experiences. And I'm kind of like putting out originals and then putting captions like which wrestler would this fit, and so I can still keep it in, because they still have a kind of vibe that would fit certain wrestlers, and it's interesting to see who people would, but yeah, they're all like personal experiences. Covers, I just go off of what I enjoy listening to and what I'd like to try and see how I can try and put my own spin on it, and try and test my voice and stuff, because I'm not originally a singer. I'm predominantly a drummer.
No, you could have fooled us with your vocals, man.
I appreciate that. I do appreciate that. But yeah, every live thing I've done, apart from one band I was in, I've been drums mainly. And I think it's nice to kind of come out from that, because you're always just sat at the back doing stuff. So it is kind of cool. Unfortunately, since I moved to America, it's hard to find like a band to tour with and stuff. So for now, just in the back room next to my wife, pissing her off by doing the same vocal over and over again.
What led you to make the move over to the States? What was it, career wise? Was it family?
No, so I was in a band called Seek the Fallen with a few of my friends from England, and my wife, who was born in Florida, she actually found our band and was really supportive in that. And we actually ended up getting together because of that. So I ended up flying over here. Unfortunately, we got together just before COVID hit, so it was a lot of borders closing, didn't get to actually see each other for the first year. I think it was just FaceTiming. Eventually got over here. And yeah, so now I have 2 stepkids, got a daughter that's biologically mine. It is crazy because, I used to be quite anxious about stuff, and then I just like moved right across the world, and I never thought I'd do something like that. So, but yeah, all from music.
Parent also puts things in perspective, though, too, right?
What was that? Sorry.
Being a parent also puts things in perspective for you as well.
Yeah, and it's super cool because, like, my eldest, he actually helped write Five Nights at Freddy's song for mine and my wife's band. Okay. And we released that, and it got in the iTunes charts, and it got on some other charts and stuff. So he's into music. I've taught him how to scream. He does some singing. He's learned drums. I've given him a drum kit and stuff. So it's really cool. Like, I'd always wanted to be a dad. So when I came here for like a ready-made family, it was really cool.
He's already passing the torch, Jeff. Got him a drum set, all right.
So you're a wrestling fan, and obviously you keep up with the product. Maybe sometimes it's tough because wrestling's everywhere and you just can't, put all your time on it. But we're in WrestleMania season, and I just wanted to know what storyline, what match are you looking forward to the most this year? I mean, last year was pretty easy because finishing the story was probably the most really captivating one last year. And man, we just wanted to see Cody finish it. This year, though, it's a little bit different. It's a little bit more wide open this year, which could be your favorite story. But which one are you looking forward to seeing the most for WrestleMania?
I think after Gunther rubbing Jimmy's blood all over him, like that, me and my wife were like losing our shit watching it. We just couldn't believe what we were watching and stuff. And that had felt so stale for so long, which kind of sucked. And I mean, I liked how they played on the whole slipping on the ropes and then doing it again and all that stuff. And then from Jimmy slapping him to then the next week covered in blood and stuff, I think that's made that such a big thing now. Yeah. Whereas it felt like kind of nothing beforehand. So I'm super excited for that. I'm really excited for the Intercontinental match as well, honestly, because I'm hoping it's Dom that wins because I think he's absolutely brilliant. And I love how Penta works. Bron Breaker's just a psychopath. His spear.
Oh, that spear was crazy. Carlito, R.I.P. man.
Yeah, and then Finn's great as well. So like, I'm super excited for that match. There's a few, but I think it's the Jay and Gunther one. Honestly,
it's tough when it's all promos in the ring and you have like so many weeks, and we're kind of like, all right, can they carry it? And then we have exactly where Gunther beats up Jimmy. You had to get the brother involved, right? Had to make it really personal too. And I think Jay delivered a great promo. A lot of people have been, wondering like, when's Jay's promo? When's his, hey, I've arrived here as far as like on the mic. And I think him and Gunther had the best interaction past Monday. So I think it was really made you like, all right, so we saw the blood, we saw Gunther get the best of it, and how's Jimmy gonna come back? And I think now it's building up to be one of the top 2 or 3 storylines heading into Mania. And talk about another one too is I also saw you do a cover of Cult of Personality, which you have to do with that one too. I mean, you have to do CM Punk.
I mean, I didn't want to originally do it because I've always been like, I always loved his Kill Switch Engage. Song, which I have done. I've done that one as well. But this one, I just had so many requests, I just kind of did it. But I'm looking forward to that match. I'm not as excited as I might have been if they were doing it like maybe winner becomes number 1 contender, or got added into the match or something, just something else. I mean, they're all great. I guess after he went to AEW and like you hear certain things, I kind of stopped supporting him as much. I used to absolutely love CM Punk. Like the first game they put ECW on, absolutely loved CM Punk, and then kind of like seeing things in AEW kind of put me off a tiny bit. So I'm not as excited for that. I definitely think there are other matches I'm looking forward to a lot more, which I know is not going to be a popular opinion at all. Like, if anyone sees it, they can be like, what the fuck?
No, they'll be
an event for everyone.
Yeah. Everybody's got their own their different selection too. Like a lot of AEW fans still are mad that with what happened with Punk and stuff like that. So one thing about this, I'll tell you this right now. So we call this the IWC. It will be the Internet Wrestling Community, right? So they can be either like 100% supportive, or they can just bash you whenever they can, just for the hell of it, because hey, they wake up one morning, they're behind the keyboard, and they know they're never going to see you face to face, so they're going to just press whatever their little chubby little fingers want to do on the keyboards. But I will say this though, WrestleMania season is coming up too, so we're excited about that. But again, so what is your? Do you want to keep doing these requests? Do you want to keep covering it? What do you eventually? Do you see something? I could see something potentially where there's a collabs and stuff like that you can do, because one thing is like once you get in this and you have enough fans in wrestling, they're very supportive. They'll be behind you, stuff like that. What do you want to keep making more covers? What is it that you want to do, at least for wrestling? Because I see a lot of wrestling content right now.
I do want to do like a mixture. Like I said, yesterday I've dropped a couple of clips from original songs just to see like how people take it. I like the one today's done better than the Seth Rollins one already. And it's had a lot of engagement and stuff, and it's really cool because people are like tagging Triple H and WWE and being like, let him write something, which is really cool. And I've had indie wrestlers come to me and ask me to write their themes, and I did
you did one, right?
Yeah, and he was such a cool guy. It was so cool to do it, and I've released it on my Spotify as well, and I was really happy how it came out. And it was just nice to have someone give you a brief of what they want and then just get to do something different, because I feel like after a while, when I'm writing just what's in my head and stuff, you can kind of repeat a bit. So when someone gives you a completely fresh idea, it's just something new. The covers I'm enjoying doing. I want to do a couple more cinematic ones because I definitely enjoy completely changing it. Again, that's more risky because people aren't too fond when you change something they've loved for ages. But
yeah, they always complain about something.
But like I said, I want to do the Randy Orton one. I'd like to do. I was going to do a thing where like I just put a load of styles in a hat and a load of names, and I'll just pick out one and then literally do that song in that style just to change it up. The wrestling stuff I'm enjoying. Honestly, I am really enjoying. Like, we are genuinely massive fans. Like, my wife's got the women's belt and stuff. The kids have all the figures. So I have no issues with doing the wrestling stuff.
Let's be honest, Dave, you have a couple of figures yourself there, don't you?
Unfortunately, I don't. I used to have so many. I used to have so many when I was younger, like all of them. But yeah, no, unfortunately, I don't. My wife does have a Caden one because she hadn't seen it for ages, and then she saw it, so she's actually got one.
Nice.
Yeah. Every time I see one in Walmart, and I'm like to kids, would you like it? They're like, yeah.
Exactly. Well, internally, he's like, I wanted to, but
don't get me wrong. I'll go down the kids' aisle just to see what they've got.
Me too. I did the same thing. I'll still do it. I don't care what people say about me, but I'm still a kid inside, right? But Jeff was alluding to the fact too. It's WrestleMania season. You spoke about what you're looking forward to as well. I mean, it'd be wrong for me not to ask this question from somebody who you're from England, Europe. The Europe tour they had for 2 weeks, the crowd was crazy. They've had PLEs in other countries right now. They've been teasing the fact that WrestleMania could eventually go overseas. Is that something you would love to see? Do you think that how do you think that atmosphere would be like in terms of, when we've seen examples of it, but for WrestleMania, do you see that happen?
I mean, the atmosphere would be crazy. Like, the main reason I would have wanted it to go there is so that I could go, ideally. But then you look at the prices and it's like, just for the nosebleeds, it's like 4,000. I'm like, no. I've seen a lot of people hating on it just because when they're trying to do promos, there's a lot of singing and a lot of chants and stuff. So I know some people get tired of the European crowds. I personally love it when I'm watching it and the crowd's loud, because there are some shows you'll see and it's just completely dead, and you're like, why are you there if you're not going to get behind anyone? I mean, I think it'd be really cool. I think it'd really be cool. It's going to piss a lot of people off because WrestleMania is like, it was always here. Stuff. I do see it going to London.
I see too. I see Wembley Stadium. I see all over the world right now. I think it's more global than ever before.
It'd be nice to see, because I don't think there's ever been an English champion, like main champion. Has there? Not that I can remember.
No. I mean, that'd be, to have one there representing, London, like England. That'd be crazy. Or just have anybody from Europe there to be a driven show there. I think they get behind them and support them. But yeah, the crowds are crazy, man. Like, they love it, and I guess it's also because there's a rarity that they go there. They do the tours, but they don't get that content as much. So they're obviously going to be, they're going to be hungry when they go to these events too. Belgium was great. France, it was off the hook. Scotland, I mean, everybody has a great time. It's more like a party atmosphere. Here in the States, sometimes like they sit on their hands a little bit because we've seen this. This is the third Raw in like the last 10 months that we've seen. So like, but
we're spoiled to a degree.
Yeah, we're a little spoiled over here with the content.
I will say it's cool to see some of the chants from England coming over to America that I've seen, like the Roman Reigns one that they're now doing, and they all like stem from soccer in England, and like it's so big in England. So a lot of the chants you're hearing are like soccer chants. So I think it's really cool that it's getting into.
Are you okay saying soccer? Shouldn't
you
say football?
So normally I'd say football, but because I run my kids' soccer team, I'm saying it now. Because when I came over here, they'd never kicked a ball or anything, so I came over here and like quickly changed that. But I'll go back to England and I'll say certain things, and everyone just looks at me like, "The fuck are you doing?"
Just say soccer. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah. Soccer. Like, there's so many things you don't realize until you go back and you're like, "Oh shit, no, I really have changed now."
You talked about Roman Reigns. That'd be one for you to try to create that one.
I've had a lot of requests for it. It's a lot harder having to like write lyrics from scratch.
Yeah.
Because with 3 kids and stuff. Like I get up, have to go to the gym each day because I'm actually training for a film in November.
Oh. Talk about that, man. Talk about your film, dude. Like you're here to promote yourself. Talk about that.
So it's my brother that's set it up independent, but it's going to go on some cool things. It's going to actually be released properly. It has a vocalist from a band that's quite well known in and stuff. We've already filmed the first one, which should be coming out end of the year or beginning of next year. And now, unfortunately, I'm having to bulk up and try and get into training for November, which makes it incredibly hard because I have to go to the gym in the morning, completely like wipe myself out, come back, and then try and like do a song because I'm literally doing a song a day, if not 2 or 3 sometimes. Like I'm just absolutely trying to churn them out. And after I've done a leg day, last thing I want to do is sit at the drums and start doing it. Like doing the Seth Rollins one, it killed me off. But yeah, so that's gonna be really cool. I think the budget ended up, it was meant to be a 30,000 budget. I think it ended up being like 200,000 by the end of it. Like I said, my brother did quite well with asking and stuff, so he was like, "Oh, I'm gonna write a film now." I was like, "Oh shit, okay."
How
What was that? Sorry.
What's the name of the film that's going to come
out? I don't know if I can say yet.
Oh, okay, all right, but we got to get you back on when everything's done, though. So you got to promise us to come back. What? How fun is it to do this, though? Like, how fun is it to do some acting? Then a little bit. Is it?
So I don't like it. I'm not like I'm normally quite a reserved person until I get to really like know people. So being in front of a camera and having to do a load of stuff is kind of daunting. By the set, like people said, I did okay. So they said, no, you did really good, and I was like, okay, well that's fine. Never done it before. My brother was just like, yeah, you're gonna be a main character. I was like, oh, all right then. He's like, yeah, fly back. We're gonna film. I was like, oh shit, okay. Do I have a script? He gives me the script on the day. I'm like, fucking hell, okay. So me and him are like the main characters in it. My stepkids got to be in it, which was cool. Yeah, it's come out so well. Honestly, looking at it, you wouldn't think it's an independent film, and I'm really excited for it to come out. It's going to be released over here in cinemas and in England, I'm pretty sure. So yeah, it'd be cool to come back when it comes out to talk about it more and some of the things. I'm just very limited to what I can say at the moment.
Totally understand, man. He's keeping creative as close as possible. I get you. I totally understand.
You know, Jeff, too, the fact that he's doing this, and I can understand the aspect of not liking it because it's very foreign to you. But like, you seem to be a jack of all trades. Like you said, you learned all these instruments because you wanted to do. You basically learned drums because you couldn't find a drummer, so you're like, yeah, I'll do it. It might be a useful tool down the road. You never know. Because, like I said, it's just something that you just keep evolving. But speaking of that, though, what I want to say before Jeff asked you the question, I just wanted to ask you too. We're talking about theme songs, covers, and stuff like that, and how you had mentioned you'd written a theme song for an independent wrestler as well, and that was a great project to do as well. So I must ask you the question: you're walking down WrestleMania, that music is going to hit. What is your theme song? Have you thought of that, or is there something that we can relate it to in terms of that's the kind of band you want to play for you coming down the aisle?
My favorite bands are Motionless in White and Ice Nine Kills. They are my 2 favorite bands. That's what me and my wife based our band off of, pretty much, like the horror, heavy kind of stuff. So I mean, anything by them. But when I was younger, I used to love Jeff Hardy's. Like just throwing the fingers and stuff like that. Yeah, that when that music hit and the pyro, that would have been my thing.
So before we wrap this one up, you just talked about Jeff Hardy. Any wrestler who is a musician that does a little crossover, do you like their kind of music? Are you like a Jeff Hardy fan with his music? Chris Jericho, Fozzy? Is there any particular band that you like of a current wrestler?
I do like some of Jeff Hardy's stuff. Like people like that would be so cool to work with. The best song, hands down, is Joe Hendry's. Like,
yeah,
and I've had requests to try that.
Oh my god, yeah,
you have to that one too.
But yeah, that's on the playlist. We listen to that in the car and stuff. I like stuff like that.
It's a positive one, right? It's such a positive song.
Yeah. But Fozzy's really cool. I used to love Avenged Sevenfold, so when they did a collab and stuff, that was really cool. I can't remember his name now, but there was a guy for NXT UK. He was Welsh, and he was the bass player for a band. And I remember like at Download Festival, Pete Dunne came out and like beat him up on stage and stuff. But his music was really cool.
Okay.
So yeah, there are some. Eventually, what would be awesome is to get to collab with people that do music. Would be awesome. But right now, like, I'm having fun getting to write themes for people. I've written a song for someone who's a cup stacking champion.
All right, man. Yeah.
There was a podcast who messaged me and asked me to do their intro theme. So I've done that now. I've done like a good 6, I think. There's like boxers and all sorts. So it's really cool, some of the stuff that's coming from this. And it's like I'm now able to kind of, that's like my job pretty much, is just writing music, which is pretty cool.
Are you guys doing any like gigs anywhere in Florida? Are you guys any kind of touring?
No, unfortunately not. Like mine and my wife's band, it's literally just us, and I record all the instruments. Okay. So she'll sing, I'll do some singing and screaming, and then I'll record all the instruments. Because I'm from Gainesville, Florida, there's not a big music scene really. I've started talking to a guy who we're going to do some Disney metal covers soon. And he knows a few bands that are looking for drummers and stuff. So maybe eventually, but it'd be really cool to eventually go out and do some of my stuff live.
Yeah.
Because I've always done like drums for my brother or some other people's stuff. So yeah, getting to do my own stuff live would be really cool.
Well, that is awesome, man. Your story is amazing. And just look, man, like I said, like we found you because the Rhea Ripley, then doing some study on you. I saw all the other songs that you're playing, and man, just very creative, very entertaining, and damn good sound too. So I got to say that too. So if you said you don't like doing vocals, then I would have never believed you, because you sound like, you know, like $1 million though. So that's not just this is being straight honest, man. Because very talented, and we wish nothing but the best for you. And we hope that you come back on here and talk more about your projects, dude, and just keep in touch and everything like that. And the very first wrestling podcast for you, and I'm pretty sure it's going to be a lot more down the road. But remember, we were the very first. We popped your cherry there, David. We popped your wrestling podcast cherry. So.
Never forget the first ever.
I appreciate you guys having me on. It's been really cool, honestly. So thank you.
So you can again just follow him on Instagram, David Bartolome Music on Instagram, and just a great follow too if you're a wrestling fan. Different take on some of your favorite wrestling theme songs, and we wish you the best, dude. And thanks for coming on HSP, dude.
Thank you. Appreciate you having me.
Enjoy WrestleMania, man. Enjoy WrestleMania, and keep in touch.
You too. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Guys, thanks so much for watching this episode. Greatly appreciate it. For David, for my tag team partner, Jeff Martin, I'm the trendsetter, Brian Berger. Thank you guys so much for watching this episode of the High Spot Podcast. Remember, we do this for one reason and one reason only. We do this for you, the crew.